New York Energy Week would not be possible without many leaders in this room. First and foremost, we'd like to thank our founding partner and sponsor, NYCERDA. Yes, thank you, NYCERDA. Thank you in particular to Jeff Peterson, whose leadership made this event possible. Thank you. Yes. Thank you to this year's Terawatt sponsors, Breitling Energy and Con Edison, our brand partner, the Energy Agency, our gracious hosts, the New York Academy of Sciences, especially Brett Van Landingham and Stephanie Latskew. We have two very special prizes tonight for the pitching companies. The first one is the Loeb & Loeb Judges Prize, which is a $1,000 cash prize and $3,000 worth of legal services, which has been sponsored by Loeb & Loeb and our judge for this evening, Joe Daniels. Loeb & Loeb is a multi-service law firm. Yes, thank you, Joe. Loeb & Loeb is a multi-service law firm of more than 350 lawyers in 7 offices worldwide. Joe Daniels leads the venture practice in their 65-plus lawyer corporate group, which helps startups and growth companies raise financing, handle acquisitions, and go public from New York to Hong Kong with support from their 35-plus lawyer energy group and 80-plus lawyer intellectual property group. Our next prize is the Audience Prize, which is sponsored by Microsoft. It's a $1,000 cash prize and $60,000 worth of Azure credits from Microsoft. Finally, and most importantly, the planning that went in tonight was thanks to a lot of collaboration between our partners, so NYC ACRE, NECEC Institute, and PowerBridge. In particular, I would like to thank the dynamic duo of Emily Wheeler and Sarah Jayanthi from NYC ACRE and NEC Institute, respectively. Thank you. They are our hardest working event chairs for New York Energy Week. They are on our advisory council, and we are so thrilled to have them here. And thank them so much for putting together this event. In addition, we'd like to thank Allie Adler from NECEC and Julia Bird from PowerBridge. Without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for the evening, Julia Binder, who is the Vice President and Head of Corporate Communications from ADT, where she leads communications and serves as the company's chief spokesperson. Prior to this role, Julie has been a leader in corporate positioning and communications for many Fortune 500 companies and was named one of PR Week's Top 40 Under 40. Everyone, please welcome Julie. Thank you.
Hi, everyone, and thank you, Emily, for that nice introduction. I am standing in tonight for Arthur Orduna, ADT's Chief Innovation Officer, who would have been a spectacular keynote speaker, but unfortunately had a death in the family and was unable to be here tonight. I do speak on behalf of Arthur and everyone at ADT in saying we are thrilled to be part of New York Energy Week and be here tonight. I'm sure some of you are probably thinking, ADT, the security company, what are they doing at an energy event? Well, I'm excited to tell you. ADT, since becoming a public company 2 years ago, has really re-energized our innovation strategy, and today we are a leader in the smart home category. Today we have more than 700,000 ADT Pulse customers who are using their smartphones to not only interact with their security systems, but also with their lights, their thermostats, their appliances, and other items in the home. And ADT is going beyond the home. You know, we're no longer just protecting homes and businesses, we're protecting people and their digital assets, whether they're at home or on the go through mobile apps and partnerships with the likes of Life 360 and Intel. We're helping to create smarter and more efficient homes through personalized automation based on customers' daily habits. We're helping businesses become smarter through the integration of data and analytics with their security systems. And really core to this innovation strategy is the ability to quickly identify emerging technology trends and partner with some of the best and brightest startups in the energy space, which is why we're here tonight. In the last year, ADT has met with more than 40 startups across the US, whom we've had discussions with about potential partnerships and investments. I've been lucky enough to participate in many of those meetings with startups, and actually it's usually the ADT CEO who sits with Arthur Orduna, our CIO, and has these meetings. And I think the most exciting thing for me is just to be part of that incredible exchange of ideas, and I'm really excited to be here tonight to hear some of the pitches from the startup teams. Also, I have to say, as a Columbia alum and a former New Yorker, I'm particularly happy to be in New York for this event. When we meet with startups, we're typically in Silicon Valley, so it's great to be here in New York, meeting with New York startups, and I look forward to hearing some great pitches tonight. So, thank you.
Thank you, Julie. We really appreciate you being here. My name is Emily Wheeler, and I am the Deputy Director of NYC ACRE in the Urban Future Lab. We are very fortunate to have ADT as a partner. You clearly have a commitment to innovation, both inside and outside the home, and we're lucky to be a part of it. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our other sponsors, NYC EDC, NYSERDA, National Grid, and Empire State Development. It's been a pleasure working with such forward-thinking organizations. I'm constantly reminded that I have the best job in the world. Who else do you know gets to work with 17 innovative, industry-leading startups day in and day out that are focused on growing the clean economy, something which I've been passionate about since as long as I can remember. Well, tonight you actually have an opportunity to walk in my shoes. We have over 40 companies in addition to the ACRE companies that are showcasing tonight. And you can learn about the amazing work that they're doing and the innovative ways that they're tackling our industry's most pressing issues. Tomorrow we're hosting New York Energy Week's Energy Storage Roundtable at the Urban Future Lab. And for those of you who can't come or who have not seen our beautiful new space, you have an open invitation. So come find me or Micah or somebody in an ACRE shirt or one of our companies here. Can we have all the ACRE companies raise their hands briefly? We got a bunch over here. There we go. Come find one of us, and we're happy to schedule a tour. Tonight is definitely a high point for me in my last 2 years at ACRE, and a night I won't forget for a very long time, and here's why. The planning process alone has been a quite unique experience and very rewarding. The event was planned by a team comprised of 100% women. Thank you. That's right, 100% women. I mean, to me, that is just absolutely tremendous. I remember my first job at the Department of Energy. There were hardly any women at all in the office, and the women that were there were all in admin positions. So to me, this is absolutely amazing. So since I've joined ACRE, the number of women I've gotten to work alongside of has grown exponentially. And I still see that it's very underrepresented in the energy sector. But we at ACRE have vowed to change this. We're launching a new program this spring called ACRE Clean Start. We worked with NYSERDA and the Center for Global Affairs at NYU to design a professional transition program to enable both women and military veterans to move into full-time positions in the energy industry. My colleague Marguerite is here tonight, and she'd be happy to tell you more about how you can get involved. So now it's time for a featured product overview from the founder of New York Energy Week and ACRE tenant, EnerKnol. Angelique, the founder and CEO of EnerKnol, left her job as an energy analyst at Barclays when she discovered a real pain point in her constant search for new and relevant energy policy. From this, EnerKnol was born. Please help me welcome Angelique Mercurio.
Thank you so much, Emily, for that kind introduction. And before we get started, could we please just have another warm welcome and warm thanks to Emily Wheeler and Sarah J. Anthony, who made this entire night come together. So I'm just going to briefly tell you a little bit more about our story. Thanks so much for listening. But tonight is really about all of you and all of the stars here tonight. So just in full transparency, don't count me in. I'm not here for the prize money. And we have, in fact, 2 of our stockholders on the judging panel. So just here to share with all of you. So when I worked at Barclays, this was how my day looked. Finding and searching for policy information that changes constantly and strewn with multiple regulatory bodies strewn all across the country. It's one big data mess. To put it into context, more than 2,000 different government offices regulate energy across state, federal, and local levels. And regulations are constantly changing. More than 150 filings come out a day. So without having a single place to access all this information, you could imagine how impossible it is for an energy investor or decision maker to drive forward the industry. This all results to a $5 billion market deficiency. So if you take a look at the numbers, of the almost $10 billion U.S. companies spent on energy information products and services in 2012, more than 75% of it is offline. So EnerKnol is addressing this issue with two customer audiences. One, the 45,000 financial institutions that have an energy focus in the U.S., and two, more than 500,000 energy companies and service providers in the US as well. So our solution, EnerKnol, takes that entire big fragmented data mess and brings it all online. Our algorithms zip through thousands of policy filings, identifying what's important and relevant to markets, and buckets them into sector-based dashboards. These sector-based dashboards are available by subscription, starting at $1,000 per user, per sector, per month. So at $1,000 per user, per sector, per month, EnerKnol is complementary to other forms of data like Bloomberg and other solutions providers. EnerKnol basically fits in and fills the gap where other providers leave off when it comes to policy information. So our go-to-market strategy for EnerKnol actually began before its development. Since founding the company in 2012, we've amassed more than 12,000 subscribers across our research and New York Energy Week. Last year, late winter, we launched our software product in private beta with 4 select customers. And we're now rolling out EnerKnol to the public, starting with our existing customer database. So you might be asking yourself, why would an energy software startup decide to create a week-long annual cross-sector energy event series? And I ask myself that very same question a lot these days. But the fact is, what might look like a overambitious marketing plan is actually our secret weapon. For a lean, fast-growth tech startup, there are so many more benefits than meets the eye. For one, getting together thousands of energy leaders from all over the world and having you guys come here to New York is a heck of a lot less expensive than flying our team all over the world to you guys. And another, the relationships that we've built create a natural barrier to entry and customer loyalty. We've created partnerships and customer relationships with folks that we would have never been able to do with so little outside capital in such a short period of time. So today, our technology is ready, our market is tremendous, and just this week alone, we've more than doubled signups for EnerKnol data. So we're currently raising our seed capital raise of $1 million, which we'll use mostly to bring on more sales and management resources to really meet the demand that we've already created. So that's us, everyone. Thanks so much for being here, and we're really excited to see tonight's stars.
Thank you, Angelique. Oh, I get 2 mics. Haha. And now we start the pitch competition. So we're going to have 9 companies who are going to be pitching. They're going to be pitching for 4 minutes each, and we will pull you guys off the stage if you go over. So keep it short. Okay. Shh. It's a really great number of companies that actually, so I'm Sarah Gianthi. I work at the NECEC Institute. It's a regional clean energy industry association for the Northeast. And what's really nice about this pitch competition is it represents, you know, the region that which I represent. So I'm very excited to have all of you here tonight. And let's just kick things off with Jason Hanna from MBU. And MBU is based in Boston, Massachusetts. Take it away, Jason.
All right. Hi, my name is Jason Hanna. I'm the CEO and founder of a company called Imbue. As Sarah mentioned, we are a Boston-based startup, and we build connected products that do heating and cooling and other types of energy management within residential and small commercial facilities. So maybe I'll start with a question. How many of you have not heard of a company called Nest? Is there anybody in the room? 1, 2. Okay. So the rest of you are asking, why in God's name would anybody else build a smart connected thermostat? Maybe. Sometimes I ask myself that same question. But the reason for that is pretty simple. When you talk to heating and cooling contractors and you realize that Nest created a business from less than 5% of the thermostat sales that happen in North America and created a $3.2 billion exit for themselves, you realize that there's a tremendous opportunity in heating and cooling controls and other types of products associated with energy management. We spent a lot of time talking to the heating and cooling contractors, which comprise about 95% of the business. They make the recommendations for the products that get installed in homes today. And we felt that there was a great opportunity to take a connected product, to tailor it for the needs of the heating and cooling professional, and to use them as a channel partner who would deliver our product as part of the natural upgrade cycle for heating and cooling products. So how do we do this? We want to win the HVAC channel. And we do that by taking a very clever, we think clever, architecture that we've designed around a connected thermostat product. We've taken it, we've separated it. We said we create an individual per room sensor module that you saw on the previous screen. It's wireless, it's battery powered, it runs for 5 years. We take the relay control module that's in a typical thermostat, we move that back to the air handler unit or the heating and cooling system. And we then take the display, so your Nest with the glossy display that sits in your hallway, we remove that. Everybody carries one around today. Why put another one in every zone of your house? It's unnecessary expense. So we've taken that and we've combined it with our ability to look at live energy use data. So electricity information, gas information coming off the meter, both smart meters and old AMR style meters, if you're familiar with the utility metering models. We've also partnered with third parties that have oil and gas monitors, which get us into different types of tanks. And we use that fuel use information and energy use information to create a picture of performance in the house or in the small business. Now that sounds a little bit crazy, but it's not as hard as it sounds, right? Those wireless signals are out there to be intercepted. These third-party sensors are very low cost. You can put them in lots of places. And because we're using a professional channel of installers, you've got professionals who can handle this kind of work. Now, how do we get that channel to adopt this product? Why would they like us over Honeywell or Ecobee or any of the other channel-friendly products that are out there today? Well, we do that by creating a series of, whoa. All right, I guess that slide's not gonna work. What you would see there would be our portal. So we actually create a series of services for the heating and cooling professional based on that thermostat performance and that energy use information. So we use our data aggregation and our analysis capabilities to build a picture of performance over time. We take that picture of performance, we turn that around into a portal, and we give it to the heating and cooling contractor or to the building manager so they can tell when there's an outage, they can tell when there's a performance issue. We're currently piloting around the city of Boston. We have about 20 sites today. We're in both retrofits. We're also in some new construction scenarios. So we work with low energy homes. We do some different types of monitoring. We work with different ventilation systems. How we got started, we're backed by the U.S. Department of Energy. We had 2 SBIRs back in 2010. We've received about $2 million worth of funding to date. We also gained support from the Massachusetts Clean Energy Center last year, where we did a matching grant that brought us to manufacturing, which is allowing us to now manufacture the sensor product that you can come over and see in our booth a little bit later. I think my time's about out, but we did have a very big product announcement I want to allude to today. People always ask, we have these very small, low-cost sensors we put in every room. This is great, but can you actually control the energy in each individual room? And I'm very proud to say that today we've partnered with a leader in the heating and cooling industry, a manufacturer out of Indianapolis called Jackson Systems. They make advanced zoning systems, and they're going to be providing, we've been working with them to create a product around individual per room zoning. So come by, take a look at the vents that we're now able to put in individual rooms. And not only can we actually sense and track and look at energy use within every room of a house or a commercial facility, we now have the ability to actually control and modulate. So with that, thank you very much.
Oh yeah, stand for we're actually. So I completely forgot to introduce the judges. I'm so sorry, judges. We have an esteemed panel of judges. So I'll have you guys ask your question first, and then we will introduce you. And I think Erica Diamond from Recycle Bank has a question for Jason.
Can you give us a sense of what the cost and the ROI is for your system?
Sure. So we've built a system that could drive an 18 to 24-month payback period for the average residential consumer. So someone who consumes roughly around $2,000 a year, both electricity and fuel use. So what that equates to is a product cost for us that starts around the $300 price point, but depending on the number of zones that you want to control, that number can get larger. The nice thing about our product is that it actually, when compared to a connected thermostat, someone from Nest or the new Lyric that Honeywell just introduced, additional zones that are added to our system come in at half the price. So we have something unique in our system architecture where we put all the intelligence in a central place, therefore allowing us to do the zone controllers at a very cost-effective rate.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Jason. And let me just introduce the judges. I'll start right over here. We have Tom Ryan from Archer Gray. Tom, you want to get up and say hello? Hello. Great. Erica Diamond from Recycle Bank. Yay. Joe Daniels from Loeb & Loeb, and Loeb & Loeb also is giving us the money for the audience award. And Jean Dworetsky, yes, from Exelon. Great, thank you. So these are our 4 judges who are deliberating on the Judges Award, and then the Audience Award is up to you guys. So you'll see in the last page of your booklet, text to polling codes for your favorite companies, but you can't do that until we're done. Okay, and
Yes,
Emily.
so keep notes and keep tracks of your favorite. All right, next up, we're kicking it off for New York, is David Mafuda from Bandwagon. So put your hands together for Bandwagon. You can use that one? Okay.
Yep, there we go.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Mafuda. I'm the founder and CEO of Bandwagon. At Bandwagon, we make it really easy to share rides in taxis and car services. By show of hands, has anyone in the room ever paid more than they would have liked to for a taxi? Okay, keep it up. Other hand, if you've ever not been able to find a taxi when you've most needed one. Okay, keep them up. And then foot, if you've ever been stuck in an incredibly long taxi line. Okay, there we go. So good. So we, at Bandwagon, we built a tool, we call it the Ride Batch Server. It analyzes thousands of itineraries and identifies which can be optimally combined. This enables us to sell taxi seats as opposed to taxi trips. And by selling seats, we can solve all of these problems. We can both significantly reduce the cost of taxi service, but we can also make more taxi service available when customers most need it. So we have 2 kinds of customers. We sell directly to consumers, but we also sell to events, airlines, and transportation hubs. Events, airlines, and transportation hubs repeatedly experience the same issue. They attract more passengers than they have available taxis to move those passengers. So to solve that problem, events, airlines, and transportation hubs pay Bandwagon to facilitate ride sharing, which dramatically improves their passengers' customer experience by reducing wait times. We can move more passengers with fewer vehicles. The Consumer Electronics Show recently paid Bandwagon to facilitate ride-sharing at their 2013 international show. And the response was fantastic. Customers loved the networking opportunities, in addition to the significant amounts of time and money that we'd saved attendees of that show. So Bandwagon has a differentiated and I think a very intelligent customer acquisition strategy. I mentioned that events, airlines, and transportation hubs pay Bandwagon to facilitate ride sharing. What this effectively means is that events, airlines, and transportation hubs pay Bandwagon to acquire customers. And so we're acquiring those customers and getting paid to do that. And those customers use our mobile application to save time and money on transportation. Our competitive advantage is straightforward. We are 3 times less expensive than Uber, and we are 3 times faster than Super Shuttle. The market is huge. The for-hire vehicle market is a $20 billion market. This market is growing as more and more people move to cities and fewer people purchase vehicles. So I want to say one more thing about this market. I'm sure people are aware of the recent very large investment and valuation in the taxi space. We think this is really exciting. And I'd like to posit that what we're seeing is actually not just a disruption of the taxi industry, but in reality, a disruption of the automotive market. Cars are changing. The way people use cars are changing. And I think that's really ultimately what's driving the significant investment and attention that we're seeing in the for-hire vehicle space. So there was a team slide there, but we missed it. We have a great team. My friend Dan and I met at Harvard. I have experience. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've also worked as an interaction designer at RGA. Dan has 6 years of experience in the geo-mobile application space. He's contracted for Johnson & Johnson, institutions like the New York State Department of Transportation. We're surrounded by an extremely committed and accomplished advisory board. Lou Riccio was a former New York City Department of Transportation commissioner. Jeff Smith founded the environmental practice at Cravath, Swaine & Moore. And just to give you a sense of what we've been doing over the past year, we launched our iOS application in September, Android in November, sold our services to the Consumer Electronics Show in December. Then in January, we won a $700,000 Verizon Powerful Answers Award. In February, we won a Traffic Tamer App Challenge from Ford. Then we won a $75,000 NYCERDA Award in March. And we're currently executing against a partnership with a major airline to open up our rideshare systems at 8 of their hubs across the United States. And so this is what we're looking at for growth in the upcoming 6 months. Thank you so much. If you know of any transportation hubs that lack taxi supply or events that lack taxi supply, please come talk to me or our new Chief of Business Development Officer, Mark Harrison outside. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. And we'll go to Tom for a question from the judges.
Yep. It's on. I've got a couple of questions, but I guess I should keep it to one as instructed. What's the revenue model? What's your cut?
So 2 revenue models. So when we charge on a per seat basis, we can generate anywhere between 35% and 90% additional revenue on top of what the base revenue is. And we do that by basically selling each seat at 65% of the cost of the total ride. And then, as I mentioned, events, airlines, and transportation hubs basically pay us either a monthly or a daily service fee for facilitating ride sharing at those events. Cool.
Thank you, David. Next up, we have a company from Castleton, New York, which is right along the Hudson River, south of Albany, right? Yeah, east. So clap your hands for Brent Salina from Microorganic Technologies. Go back. Sorry about that. They're going to cue your slides.
Oh, I'm still going to need this. Am I out already? I'm strict on the time, huh? Can everybody hear me? My voice is kind of fading on me here. Yeah, that better? There we go.
This will not cut into your time.
Okay.
You're okay.
Appreciate that. Thanks for volunteering yours, I guess. Well, I guess I'll take advantage of that. To start with a little bit, there we go. Okay, so again, my name is Brent Salina. I'm the president and founder of a company by the name of Microorganic. As the slide says, we do a on-site method of waste remediation that generates a little bit of electricity. So what that really means is I get the dubious honor of explaining to you how your meal here turns into sewage and what we do about that. In comparison to some of the other pitches here, you don't really think about sewage. You might see something like a thermostat. These other things are very familiar, but there's an enormous amount of waste that's generated out of this thing that you deal with every day in your daily life. Food is a very, very complicated thing. There's a lot of companies that have to come together to make a meal like this happen, and every one of them generates waste. Every step between the farm and your plate is something that's generating waste that has to be dealt with. Generally speaking, it winds up here. This is a process called aeration at a municipal wastewater treatment plant. It introduces oxygen to deal with this waste. That consumes an enormous amount of electricity. If you can imagine, what you're needing to do is put oxygen into the water, and if you've ever spent a lot of time underwater, you know that water doesn't hold very much oxygen for you to breathe. So this is a huge cost driver for doing wastewater treatment, and therefore is a huge cost driver for food manufacturing facilities. Nationally, wastewater treatment is responsible for about 7% of the total country's energy expenditure, again, with the lion's share of that going to aeration. So as a result, these municipal facilities that have to deal with this and incur this energy cost backcharge industrial food processors. And that's where our business model comes in. We're implementing an on-site method of waste remediation that lowers the strength of the waste and therefore lowers the surcharge that these people are subject to. The way we do that is about as exciting as sewage gets. We're using something called a microbial fuel cell, or sometimes referred to as a bioelectrochemical system. What you see here, similar to a traditional fuel cell, is an anode and a cathode. On the left here, we grow a biofilm that the microorganisms literally plug into, consuming the waste, and in the process, generating electrons and hydrogen ions. The electrons migrate up and over through the wire, where they're joined by molecular oxygen from the atmosphere. What this really means is, in a sense, the bug just breathed through a wire. We gave them access to oxygen, but we did it in a way that didn't have to run those huge blowers, meaning that we didn't consume all that energy. The other really exciting aspect of that is that electron moving through the wire is DC current. We can make power out of anything that can decompose using a biofilm right on the electrode there. So with that being said, that's a really cool technology, but the reason we're here today is obviously it's not quite totally on the market yet. Where we're at today is, in comparison to some of the other folks working with this, we had a very early emphasis on field adoption. We've been out with a number of municipalities as a test bed for a number of years, and we're moving on site with a number of food manufacturers across upstate New York. We've gone through 4 generations of prototypes right now, strongly focusing not only on the actual technology, but how we're going to make it. This technology involves everything from biochemistry, electrochemistry, electrical engineering, chemical engineering. There's some civil engineering in there, material science. There's all sorts of ways to get involved with this and keep you up at night. So from an early standpoint, we knew that we would have to get involved with all aspects of how this was made. It's not something that you can outsource very easily. We've got, as I said, a number of upcoming demonstrations, both here in upstate New York, and we're queuing up some internationally. Of interest right now is the fact that we are currently looking to close a round. If anybody is interested in this technology, we'll be around and would love to talk. Right now, we're looking for about, well, a company such as ours, if they were to be looking for funding, would be looking for about $200,000. And would be especially interested in somebody who would like to partake in an upcoming Series A. I think I'm within the time limit. Again, to summarize, we're dealing with a very interesting technology that, if I have my way, will change the way the world gets its power. Our motto is very simple. It's 30 terawatts in 30 years. That's enough capacity to meet double the demand for the whole planet right now. It's kind of an outrageous claim, but then again, we have the ability to go directly from anything that can decompose to power, and that's a pretty ridiculous value proposition. So thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brent. Oh, stay on stage. question for you. I believe, Tom, you are the guy who has a question for Brent, correct? Yeah?
Oh, one more. Hi, Brent. So my question is, so you did a couple of use cases with some municipalities to date. I guess I'm curious, how many did you approach, and what was your hit rate in selling this, and what was the pushback?
So I should mention we are very certainly pre-revenue. There's a lot of work to be done. We're certainly looking for partners for the long haul, but we got a tremendous amount of validation on the interest. The power consumed by aeration, the cost of that is second only to staffing. So it's top of mind. The biggest issue we had is that people tend not to believe it. So we are on site with them, and it's something that they find very interesting once you get them to believe that you can actually do it. Thanks.
All right, and next up we have Steven Stoddard from Boston, Massachusetts, who will be representing CoolChip. The clicker.
Thank you.
Oh, awesome. Sorry about that, guys.
All right. Hi, everyone. First off, I have a quick question. Who here had a laptop computer that used to look something like this maybe 20 years ago, 15 years ago? Yeah? I'm noticing there's a trend here. It's sort of like more experienced people in the room. And just to follow up, who here has a computer with them in their pocket today? Yeah, everybody. So how does this happen? How do we go from computers that are this size down to computers that fit in your pocket? Well, there's a trend. So it's actually not that your cell phone is doing all this computing. A lot of it is taking place in what is proverbially known as the cloud. So if I could have a volunteer come up here, I'd like to demonstrate how CoolChip plays in the cloud. Any judges? The lady over here. You could just hold on to this, please. Sure. Another thing that probably a lot of people have noticed, if you have a laptop, so instead of being this big, it's a lot smaller, but now when it gets hot, you have too many Google windows open, suddenly it gets really noisy, right? Sounds like it's going to take off like an airplane. So I'd like to show you how CoolChip addresses this problem. So this is a cooler for a server. This is a 1U server cooler. This is actually the best aftermarket server cooler you can get in terms of thermal performance. I'm going to turn it off here. This is our cooler. It's virtually silent. Thank you. That's actually the same thermal performance. I'll just leave it here running. But so the question is, how do we do that? Typical heat sinks consist of a block of copper or aluminum fins, and they have a plastic fan that sits on top of them. What we do is we said, why do you need the fan? Just spin the heatsink. So that's what we do at CoolChip. In doing so, we're able to save the overall 50% volume immediately, and then we can play that off against thermal performance, acoustic performance, or power consumption, depending on the application. This is what that cooler looks like up close. As you can imagine, there's many different applications for this. Laptops, game consoles, PCs, tablets, and of course, servers. Missing a picture here, but we've also delivered prototypes for drone customers. Believe it or not, commercial fishing applications. Apparently, they need to evaluate what fish they're looking at in real time. And we've also developed a couple of prototypes for a few different projects we've done with game console customers. We're currently working with one of the major game console manufacturers right now, looking to implement our cooler into a 2016 product. And if you look for us at the end of the year, we'll be launching in the consumer space for the aftermarket PC coolers. This slide kind of highlights the trajectory. Servers and data centers and reducing the power consumption is obviously a major issue. but it turns out that there's a lot of reliability and performance data that's required before you can really get into that market. So as we launch, we're going through this gamer market where performance is really key. And we're currently working with one of the major fan manufacturers, cooler manufacturers for the gaming space right now to launch a joint development on a product that will be released next year. Any questions?
Great, thank you.
Thank you. And we're bringing it back to Tom. He's just full of questions tonight.
You guys picked these series of questions, so don't make me sound like a microphone hog. So I guess the big question that comes to mind here is IP, because it seems like, hey, we made the thing thinner and lighter. And I guess I'm going to try to get away with two questions. One, is it more expensive to produce? As a result, then, is it cost prohibitive to the servers and server farms, et cetera? And if you can also just touch on the IP side of it, what's protected here?
Sure, yeah. So the trick is really getting the heat from the stationary component that rests on the chip to this rotating block of aluminum, or the heatsink portion. We have a dozen patents in a portfolio right now. 3 of them have been issued, the rest are pending. So we're pretty well protected there. And regarding the cost, so we've actually priced out against the benchmark game console cooler. We are right now estimated 3 to 10% more expensive, which is not too bad in a consumer market. When you get to a server market, it's a little bit different, but the value prop is different there as well. We can offer energy savings in the HVAC system. Because it's more efficient cooler, you can set the ambient air temperature in the data center to a higher level. But the cost savings depends on the actual implementation. Yeah. Thanks.
And Ryan, we're going to try this one more time if you're still with us. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for my second chance. My name is Ryan Sims, and I'm part of the founding team for Smarter Grid Solutions in North America. Smarter Grid Solutions provide a unique combination of data analytics and real-time control software for power utilities. We enable them to access the data that can influence their planning and operational decisions. The electricity industry today is undergoing massive, rapid change, much like the telecoms industry has over the last few decades. We're experiencing uncontrolled peak load growth, intermittent renewables, and new technologies connecting at all distribution levels. Essentially, the technology solutions that we've used to operate our electricity grid historically are not sufficient to manage it today. At Smarter Grid Solutions, we see ourselves as a technology provider for the utility of the future. We offer a real-time, autonomous control system platform and patented software applications to manage electricity constraints in real time. We call our solution active network management. Our solution allows electric utilities to appreciate up to 300% more capacity on their electricity grid. And by doing so, they can lower the cost of infrastructure upgrades and connect more distributed energy resources. In our very first project with Scottish and Southern Energy, our data analytics showed that we could literally double the capacity available on their existing grid. Our solution allowed the connection of 26 megawatts of new wind generation, saving comparative infrastructure upgrade costs of $50 million. The picture here shows one of the wind farms that I helped integrate into our A&M system. The remarkable thing here is that prior to working with us, the utility here considered this grid full. The challenges facing the electricity industry today present a massive market opportunity. Smarter Grid Solutions estimate the market in North America alone for our control system technology is between $40 and $50 million per year. Importantly, this is a growing market as the utilities see these new active network management systems to become business as usual. We expect to mirror our existing growth that we've had in the UK, where we started, over in North America, and we project our target revenue for this year to be $7 million across the UK and the US. From our business model, we provide end-to-end services for our customers. We provide upfront power systems analysis to identify the areas where our control systems technology will provide value. We then lead our customers right through to commissioning. We license our software platform and applications and provide 24/7 maintenance and support contracts. There's many competitors, old and new, in this industry, from the large international companies that have dominated previously to the small, innovative, emerging companies that are finding their small place and niche within the industry. Our strength lies in the fact that we developed our solution in partnership with electric utilities and to meet their emerging needs. Up until now, our route to market has been through direct interactions with the electric utilities themselves, although we're now looking at partnering opportunities to expand. An example of this is our recent signing of a memorandum of understanding with Silver Spring Networks, one of the leading communication providers in the smart grid space. Our company started the roots of our company started about 10 years ago with research and development from the University of Strathclyde in Scotland. Since then, we've assembled a team of talented industry professionals to lead their teams in North America and in the UK. This includes our chairman, Robert Armour, who prior to working with Smarter Grid Solutions led the privatisation of British Energy. Also includes Jerry Docherty, who when he's not acting as chief executive of SGS, is also chairman of the Scottish Software Federation. Our teams across the US and the UK are working on upwards of 30 live projects currently. Moving forward, Smarter Grid Solutions are looking to acquire new customer introductions and also for partnership opportunities to accelerate our growth. If you'd like to speak to me about any part of our business or to find out about our projects in New York State, where we're working with Con Edison on microgrids and NYCERDA on electric vehicle charging, then please come and speak to me afterwards. I'd like to leave you with one last thing. On Monday night, the president of the New York Power Authority said that the next 5 years in the electricity investment is going to shape the next 50 years of utility business models. So I think there's a lot of truth in that. And I also think that Smarter Grid Solutions are uniquely placed with our real-time control systems to take advantage of that and enable utilities for the next 50 years. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Stay up for 1 second. And Jean, do you have a question for Ryan?
Yes, thanks. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Can you talk a little bit about how the cost to the utility compares to the SCADA systems that we typically use today?
Yeah, I can. So the thing about our system is it's a scalable system. So we license our software based on the number of controlled devices. So the actual platform that we install can be installed to control one constraint and one generator, which would be contributing to that constraint. You can start off a system with that and then also scale that up if you wanted to install more wind or CHP generation within that area that's associated with that individual constraint. A SCADA system is typically a utility would purchase that on a wide scale for their whole distribution network. So I don't see that as scalable as what we do. So as I said, there's these large international companies who've existed in this market for many years. So I think that our size and our agility to be able to scale our systems is one of our main benefits. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Great, and next up we have Michael Wyman from ClearGrid Innovations. ClearGrid is ACRE's newest company, but will definitely give these vets a run for their money.
All right, thank you, Emily. So I think we're the one company on this panel and probably in the New York startup space that prays for storms. And I swear it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm Canadian or the polar vortex. But I left my job at PSEG, which is a big New Jersey utility, 3 months ago. And I left it because I saw an opportunity. I saw an opportunity after Hurricane Sandy to use imagery to help reduce power outages and address them better. And I think you'll share that view once you hear this. The problem is two problems face electric utilities today operationally. One is an increasing demand from customers and state regulators to decrease outage metrics to increase reliability. And the second is storm outages are actually becoming more frequent. And you can see on the right, back when we were all watching Seinfeld in the 1990s, the outages, large-scale events, more than 50,000 customers out, less than 30 per year. By 2010, that was up to around 70 per year. 2011 to 2012, an average of 100 per year. Why is that? Aging infrastructure, more erratic weather patterns. How do utilities do it today? They prevent storm-based outages by doing human patrols in trucks every 4 years, typically, in the Northeast. The problem is, in the interim, trees die and decay, poles lean, poles fall in certain cases. And when an outage happens, it's usually a 3 to 6 hour time frame to respond. They have to find out about the problem from customers, typically, or from telemetry if it's high enough up on the system. They need to send team number 1 to assess the problem at the exact time when damage assessors are in scarce supply. And they need to send team number 2, and if team number 1 didn't do a good job, they need to send team number 3 and team number 4 to fix the problem. Our solution, real-time visual damage assessment using Google camera car type vehicle. There's no connection to Google, but it's a similar car to what Google used to make Google Street View. 360-degree imaging, and that has 2 key benefits. It's faster damage assessment because the damage assessor can work from home or they can work from the office rather than having to travel out to a distant suburb. And you can do better asset inventories by taking stock of poles that might be leaning before they fall over on blue sky days. Market size, $15 billion per year is spent by utilities on storm damage prevention and repair. About $3 billion of that relates to assessing damage, reactive vegetation management, and inspections. We believe, and I firmly believe this, that the utilities are, by doing 3 different sets of inspections, one for trees, one for poles, and one for asset inventory GIS, duplicating the work. And by actually getting a high quality imagery base of Street View imagery, you can save about 5 to 10 million per year per utility. You can also, by the way, avoid the risk of state levied penalties, like the one that Connecticut assessed after Hurricane Sandy and Irene for $50 million, direct hit to utility shareholder net income. And by the way, a utility executive lost his job, which sometimes motivates purchases. Fewer truck rolls for customer call-ins. Our business model, we take a portion of that savings and we charge out for it, software as a service. Service and maintenance contract, and it's customized based on volume, geography, and whether it's a telco or an electric utility. Our competition, there is competition, it's good news. The tree contractors on the left, they're not focused on imagery, they're focused on manual labor, very different skill set. Yes, there are folks that are focused on imagery. The C-Click Fixes of the world take customer-submitted smartphone photos. The geodigitals take aerial views of high-voltage transmission lines. Very different skill set from street view level imaging and not easily transferred. Our go-to-market, strategic sales to 12 leading Northeast utilities that serve more than 300,000 customers. And we'll use 2 reference pilots to build out the economic case. We're already working with one leading New York utility that is extremely interested and wants to work the pilot to publicize the effort with EPRI because they're so proud of what's going to happen. Our team combines technical expertise. I haven't come from the largest suburban New York utility. I actually speak the language of utilities. Our CTO has built technology for the largest vegetation contractor in the US that does more to restore storm damage than anybody else in the country. I want to thank you. We are on the lookout for strategic seed capital from the right source, and I'd be happy to talk to you afterwards. We have a booth here, and I just want to thank you very much for your time and pray for a storm.
Great, and we'll go to Jean for a question.
Yeah, thanks. I guess I have several questions, but I'll stick to the one. Can you talk a little bit about your IP? Do you have patents
Sure.
pending?
So we are in the process of generating a provisional patent application. I will say that the Google camera car it's actually subject to numerous patents, obviously. We're working with a supplier that has appropriately obtained those patents, and we will license that in a way that others that, by the way, are using that technology have not. So we will license it. However, our long-term business model is algorithm development. It's pattern recognition. And although it's sometimes difficult to patent algorithms, we believe that there's such a link to hardware here that you can patent what we're doing.
Thank you. Hello. Yay. Okay. Oh, do you mind if I grab the clicker? Yeah. And next up from Cambridge, Massachusetts, we have Vikram Agarwal from Energy Sage.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vikram Agarwal. I'm the founder and chief executive of Energy Sage. Energy Sage has been referred to by others as the Expedia or Kayak of solar. We help homeowners, businesses, and nonprofits easily and quickly shop for solar by getting them quotes from multiple solar installers for turnkey solar PV solutions. As many of you may know, the solar industry is in the midst of a rapid growth phase. Just the residential sector alone has grown over 60% each of the last 2 years. And the reason for this growth over the last few years has primarily been because of the decrease in the solar panel prices, which have fallen over 80% in the last 5 years. But one problem remains for the industry. The big problem that the industry is now facing is the high cost of customer acquisition. Typically, installers are spending anywhere from $3,000 or more to acquire a residential customers, which can be about 20% of their revenue. And the reason for this high cost is twofold. Number one, most consumers remain unaware and uninformed about the suitability of solar for their property, and more importantly, the economics of what solar offers if they do install at their home or business. And the second problem is those who actually are brave enough to shop for solar find the process highly complex, time-consuming, and confusing. And as a result, less than 5% of consumers who actually start shopping for solar end up installing solar. And this is the problem that we are solving for the solar industry. We have developed the Energy Sage Solar Marketplace to make it really easy for the consumers to research and shop for solar. Consumers can use our platform to self-evaluate the suitability of their roof and determine what size of a system they can put on their property, and also get an instant estimate of what solar is likely to cost them and how much they will save if they do install solar. I would like to encourage you to go to Energy Sage and try out this feature. It's pretty unique. And those consumers who are ready to move forward, they register with our website, and we get them quotes from a number of different installers. Typically, consumers will receive anywhere from 3 to 5 quotes from pre-screened installers for all their financing options. And we present these quotes to the consumers in a standardized apples-to-apples format so you can quickly and easily compare these options and determine and pick the quote that offers you the best option. We are a very unique platform in the marketplace. There is nobody else who's doing what we are doing. We've been recognized by industry leaders, journalists, and key stakeholders as a unique platform that has the potential to drive efficiency in the solar market. We have received 2 prestigious Sunshot Awards from the US Department of Energy and a grant from NYCERDA in New York. These grants and awards have totaled over $2.25 million. Now you may ask, how are we driving traffic to our website? We are one of the only 150 million websites out there. Solar is in a very unique position today. There are a number of different organizations like businesses, nonprofits, cities, states, even your church, and even some utilities who are now promoting solar to their customers, employees, members, residents, and ratepayers. Energy Sage is partnering with a number of these organizations like Staples, Walgreens, the World Wildlife Fund. These organizations are now actively marketing Energy Sage to their audience as a way to quickly and easily research and shop for solar. We have recently signed some very interesting partnerships, some of which we will be announcing in the next few weeks, that give us access to over 20 million households in the United States. So how do we make money? Today we make money by charging a small sales commission from the solar installers and a lead fee from banks and other financing institutions who are offering loans to our customers. In the near term, we are looking to charge generate additional revenue by charging subscription fees and leverage advertising revenues. In the long term, we plan to expand our platform to include other energy systems like high-efficiency heating and air conditioning systems, geothermal, and other energy systems. We are looking for both funding and strategic partners. So if you are interested in discussing and learning more about Energy Sage, I would love to talk to you. We have a booth here, and I'll be hanging out for the next couple of hours. Thank you. And
thank you so much, Vikram. And we have Joe Daniels to ask Vikram a question.
Hi, Vikram.
Hi, Joe.
I actually went to your website, and it's great. And the first thing I thought to do, out of the maybe 4 or 5 options, was to go down this track of getting an estimate, an instant estimate, in fact. And it was only maybe 5 or 6 questions, and you gave me numbers and 3 options. I think it was leasing, buying, and
loans.
Loans. And there was one which the option was actually where I would be getting my energy for free. From that point forward. And I thought that, that was extremely compelling. I don't know if that's really possible, but with my particular, I had to enter my address and everything. But so I guess that my main question is, what is to stop someone else from doing the exact same website in Palo Alto with $5 million and a team of 20?
Sure.
What differentiates you, et cetera?
Sure. There are a couple of points here. One, the easy answer is we have filed a global patent application. The second, more difficult answer is we now have a 2+ years of lead time in the industry. So if somebody has that $5 million burning in their pocket, they should talk to us. Maybe they can invest in us and do a strategic partnerships. I've recently spoken to a few of potential competitors who have mystery shopped on our site and decided to not replicate us.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Oh, hello. Great. Second to last, we have Paul Schwartz from Thermolift. Thermolift is actually out in Long Island, and I just want to give a quick shout out to David Hamilton, who runs the incubator in Long Island, right over there. So Paul is part of that incubator. Okay, take it away. Oh, this is for you.
Can I take this off? Is it possible that somebody could close that door over there? Can somebody close the door? The noise is distracting. I guess nobody's hearing me. Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Paul Schwartz. I'm the founder and CEO of a company by the name of Thermolift. And Thermolift is addressing the heating, cooling, and air conditioning market and building what we think will be the world's most efficient heating, cooling, and hot water system in one device. We're working with the Department of Energy, NYCERDA, and private capital. We may remember the big blackout of the Northeast, and air conditioning is dependent upon electricity. We want to help avoid that. 46% of energy used in the United States is for heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and hot water. And in the summertime, peak demand of electricity gets very expensive. So Thermolift is developing a thermally based heating, air conditioning, and hot water system. Initially fueled with natural gas, but could be fueled by liquid fuels or could be a solar technology. We expect a 30 to 50% reduction in the consumption of fuel and cost to the consumer. This will be one unit. We're going to eliminate the electrical demand and become grid independent. We don't use refrigerants, which are hydrofluorocarbons, which are very bad for the atmosphere. And while most heat pumps don't work well in cold climates, Thermolift does. This will be a simple retrofit to the existing infrastructure, and it's fully scalable. What do? We input heat on the top of the device, and we take from the environment heat in the ambient atmosphere. So we input 15 kilowatts in the burner, and we take from the environment 10 kilowatts of energy. So our output as a heating system is 25 kilowatts. 1 unit of heat produces 1.65 units of heat to the home. This is based upon a volume air cycle that's been proven, a proven thermodynamic that goes back to 1918. We're modernizing that. The original equipment built in the 90s had over 6,500 hours of testing. We have a great team of 3 PhDs and 3 masters, and we're building our second generation prototype in Q2 of 2004. The funding from the Department of Energy is $750,000. From NYCERDA is about $500,000, and private capital raised $1.6 million. Our team, let me go to our team for a second. Dr. Peter Hofbauer. Professor Peter Hofbauer is the former head of engine and powertrain development at Volkswagen. He brought to commercial production the Volkswagen Rabbit diesel engine. After there, he went to a company called Viessmann, the market leader in heating systems in Europe, where he developed the burner technology that we're incorporating into our device, which is a nitrous oxide-free, emission-free burner. The first company that we financed together is called Eco Motors. It's funded by Vinod Khosla and Bill Gates. Bob Cattell, Steve Winnick are on our board. Bob Cattell is the former chairman for National Grid. Steve Winnick is with a VC partner, Topspin, who led the $1.6 million investment. Steve Winnick brought to commercial production the first alert smoke alarms. And Michael Donaher is with Wilson Sonsini, Goodrich & Rosati. He does about 50 to 60% of the Series A, Series B, and Series C's financings as a lawyer out of Palo Alto. He's been one of our strongest advocates. So our first demonstrator, which was a mechanically controlled machine, is now being converted into an electronically controlled machine, where we've simulated the structure of the unit, and we're building our components for that next generation device, working with NYCERDA, National Grid, Oak Ridge National Laboratories, Stony Brook University, and the Department of Energy. The Department of Energy's grant application had a series of lines which were for performance in purple of existing heating and air conditioning technologies, heating system technologies, cold climate heating system technologies. The blue line was their Department of Energy target for what they wanted to get as an output from a new thermally based device. And the green line represents the equipment that had 6,500 hours of testing with extremely high performance. We believe our system will outperform that by about 15%. In the Northeast and in cold climates in the United States, there are 34 million homes. 70% of those homes are natural gas or liquid propane fueled, which is our initial market. And of that marketplace, 30% of those homes have heating systems that are over 20 years old. We've developed some good relationships in the industrial sector, in the commercial sector in Europe with the European Heat Pump Association, specifically with British Gas. They installed over 125,000 heating systems last year. In Europe, there were over 6 million heating systems sold to the marketplace and over 750,000 electrically driven heat pumps. We're working with the Department of Defense, and we have an industrial partner who would like to use this technology for the liquefaction of natural gas for distribution. Over the course of the use of this technology, we expect to save a lifetime of about $10,000 to the consumer. The acquisition cost is about $5,500, so if you compare that to 3 different systems, which cost about $7,000 to $7,200 at the point of sale, we're less expensive than all alternative technologies. And not 3 systems, it's 1. Over the next 2 to 3 years, we expect to launch our product to the marketplace. And in developing commercial partnerships with utility companies like National Grid and like British Gas, we have distribution to our customers. That's my time. I'm done.
Okay, and we have a question from Joe Daniels for Paul.
Hi, Paul. So you mentioned this other competing technology, 3 different separate things that you can piece together for about $7,200 that is sort of similar and comparable. What is that, and how do you distinguish yourself from that? And how do you plan to get these into everybody's house? I mean, that's one thing I didn't hear.
Okay. First, we're replacing an air conditioning system, a hot water system, and your home heating system with 1 device. So those are the 3 competing technologies. How we plan to get this system to the home is through demonstration of efficiency and performance through Oak Ridge National Laboratories, and then distribution to the consumer from companies like National Grid or companies like British Gas to both the commercial sector and the residential sector.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, we have Marshall Cox from Radiator Labs.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. Marshall Cox, founder and CEO of Radiator Labs, and we are working to bring radiator heat into the 21st century. So I'm going to ask the audience a question. Who has ever been this guy, overheated in your apartment? Maybe you have a radiator in the middle of the winter. You might even have your window open. So a lot of us. Okay, some people here are from New York, apparently. So this, in the simplest sense, is what Radiator Labs is working to fix. So we have a person who might be overheating their apartment. They buy a cozy. It's what we're calling our product. They install that cozy. It's very easy to install. It's a low-cost system. And they set the temperature that they want their apartment to be on their cell phone. It syncs to the cell phone. And our system does what it has to do to keep your apartment at the right temperature. And we've shown that we can do this very, very well. This is what the product looks like. This is a concept rendering of what we will be installing this fall. We've put a lot of effort into making it a very beautiful system. So it's not only supposed to be a functional, but very aesthetic portion to your home. You'd be asking yourself, why are so many people overheating these buildings? What is wrong with these buildings that causes this huge imbalance? The problem is actually because it's very hard to send heat where it actually needs to go in a building. So these buildings, all these buildings with steam heat, they're almost about 100 years old. All of them were built before World War II. And back then, they were actually built very well, but we have lost that balance over years for many reasons. And what happens now is the building has to cater to the coldest, worst apartment. They heat that to a minimum temperature. Everyone else has much more energy than they want or need, and you get massive overheating, and people open their windows. This is the cause of that. So when we install our cozies, on the majority of radiators in the building, and this is actually what we're concentrating on, exciting things happen. So we actually push energy thermodynamically from hot apartments to cold apartments. So we've shown that we can heat colder apartments up faster. We control the boiler based on this data. All of this information we pull to the cloud and work on our own servers with it. And we turn the boiler off sooner. And we've shown that we can save between 30 and 40%. And that's in 2 demonstration buildings last year. So let me put that number in context. How much is 30 to 40% in heating costs? In New York City's 5 boroughs, we spend about $6 billion on heating for steam building every year. So 30% of that is almost $2 billion. We're wasting $2 billion on fuel that we burn and literally let that heat out the window. Put that further in context, if we could recoup that energy, we could heat all of the 5 boroughs, all the steam buildings, for free for the month of January. So it's a really big deal. So where are these buildings? What are these buildings that are causing all this inefficiency? They're actually all across New York City, in bigger, older cities, anywhere where a lot of growth took place before World War II. And in New York City, 60% of our buildings were built before World War II. That's 2 million apartments. There's 3 radiators per apartment. That's 6 million units right here in New York. Of course, we're looking at a larger market than that across the United States. There's about 35 million steam radiators, and eventually we'll also develop our product for hot water radiators, of which there's about 70 million in the United States. And of course, there are more of these overseas, so it's a very large market. Our business model is to sell to whole buildings or even building management companies, sales that would encompass hundreds, if not thousands, or even tens of thousands of units. If we got 5% of the market in New York City alone, that'd be 90 million in revenue. So it's a huge issue that we're trying to address here. It's also a huge opportunity for Radiator Labs. In addition to the initial sale that we're looking to do here, we're also developing a data services platform where we take all the data we're gathering, we learn things about the building, and we think that's enormously valuable, and we're ever refining that product. So far, we've been working with 3 major customers, Columbia University, NYU, and the City of New York, 3 of the largest residential landowners in New York City. Our idea is obviously to prove that this works to them and then ideally to be deployed in the rest of their portfolios. We're also using this as an opportunity to refine our products, to refine our initial installation product as well as those data services. In terms of competition, we view ourselves as the combination of 2 of the big competitors that people see us having. One is called a thermostatic radiator valve, those little dials you might find. Those systems actually work pretty well for hot water, and they do not do a great job on steam. So we offer superior control, vastly superior control on steam systems, while combining the ability to program and learn that a Nest thermostat has. And clearly, if you bought a Nest thermostat and you live in New York, there's nothing for you to connect it to. So we're actually allowing a programmable thermostat to be used on steam radiators and hot water radiators. The team composes of myself. I have a PhD in electrical engineering. My background is actually material science. Co-founder is Professor John Comissis, has an enormous number of accolades. He's at Columbia University. He's started a bunch of companies, has a ton of patents. It's a great resource for us. We have an amazing team of engineers and data scientists that is also equally amazing, and a great team of advisors. So just to sum up, we we picked up a lot of press, a lot of people like what we were doing. We won the MIT Clean Energy Prize in 2012. That was awesome. We were just in the March issue of Popular Science as a 2014 Invention Award winner. That was also awesome. This week, we closed our seed round, so that was a huge milestone for us. And looking forward, we are looking to raise a Series seed at the end of the year, beginning of next year. If you are interested in that, please talk to us. We are also looking to expand our deployment significantly this coming fall. So if you have a building that may benefit from a Radiator Lab system, we'd love to talk to you as well. Thank you very much.
And now we'll go to Erica for a question.
I know that with energy efficiency in large buildings, one of the impediments is financing, just how building owners are going to come up with the money to front a lot of these cool, innovative products. Are you guys thinking about how interesting financing vehicles or partnering with people who are financing those kinds of projects?
Absolutely. There's all kinds of customers, all kinds of people who own these buildings. Some people want to just buy it straight up. Some people are going to want financing options. Some people may be interested in a shared savings model. So we're looking at all those opportunities. That's a quick answer. You can ask another question. That was a really quick question. Also, I want to give a shout out to NYCERDA because they helped us do this entire project last year. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, so now that we've heard all the pitches from the startups, it's time for you to start voting. So you can flip to this page, page 35 in your program, and text the number next to your favorite startup to vote for them. Meanwhile, I will take the judges out in the hall to deliberate.
Hi, everyone. The program that you're actually going to look in is this one, not the really pretty one that has a bunch of logos on the front. And in the back is where you can vote. All right. And let's just give a round of applause to all the pitching companies. They were amazing, considering we had quite a lot of technical difficulties. And so while the texting is happening, I actually want to introduce, we're really honored to have the president of NYCERDA, John Rhodes, here tonight. He's going to be announcing the Cleantech 40, which is a list of the 40 most promising companies within New York State. So I'll give it to John Rhodes. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Sarah. As Sarah mentioned, my name is John Rhodes. I'm the president and CEO of NYCERDA. And I'm pleased to be here tonight to announce, what do I press? The green. Do I go now? This is slide one? Okay. Pleased to announce this year's New York Cleantech 40 winners. New York State has long been a leader in clean energy innovation and in clean energy technology innovation, and that is made clear by the companies represented here this evening. Under Governor Cuomo's leadership, the clean energy sector is thriving in New York. We continue to develop an extensive network that supports existing and emerging clean energy technology companies and creates an environment conducive to innovation, to entrepreneurship, to investment, and to technology-led growth. Clean tech companies and, in general, the clean energy economy is absolutely essential to the state's agenda, to our economic agenda, to the jobs we can create, to the investment we can bring, and to the benefits we can build for our energy system and for our climate goals. So, for those unfamiliar with the New York Cleantech 40, these are awards that seek to identify and recognize the most promising, privately held clean tech companies that are based in New York State. The 40 winning companies are chosen out of several hundred using a combination of algorithms developed by CB Insights and a selection committee comprised of New York's clean tech industry leaders and professionals. So as you see the list, you will see a great amount of diversity. Diversity in terms of the industries in which they act, their stage of maturity, from early stage to late stage, and finally, in terms of their geography, where the list of promising clean tech companies hail from around the state. Before we get to this year's 2014 winners, let's recap the success of the inaugural class, the one that was announced in October 2012, and they have done phenomenally well since being recognized. As this slide highlights, the winning companies have raised an additional $108 million in private investment capital, and over 40% of the companies have raised additional finance after being recognized in late 2012. Some of the most notable investors and corporations in the world, including BlackRock, including Kleiner Perkins, and Dow Chemical, are now partnering with these companies, highlighting the quality of the entrepreneurs, the quality of the ideas, and the quality of the business potential here in New York. In addition to financing, many of the winners have also achieved great success in significant media exposure in some of the world's most respected publications. Of course, it should be noted that the overwhelming majority of the press and financing that the companies received has been a result of their work, their ingenuity, their hard work, and their dedication, but it's fun to celebrate it when you're up here. So the goal with the New York Green Tech 40 is to enhance the opportunities these companies have, for financing, for partnerships, to acquire customers, and to receive media exposure. And so we hope we've done that with the last class, and of course we hope we'll do it again with this class. So let's take a look at some of the highlights of the 2014 winners. This year's winners span many sectors and many industries, illustrating again the diversity of New York's clean tech ecosystem. 7 sectors ranging from clean web to renewables to energy storage are covered, and when we peel that back even further, there are 22 unique industries that are representative. There are a number of the companies on the list that are already well-financed, with the companies in aggregate having raised a total of $380 million in private financing. In addition, there are many early-stage companies which have graduated from some of the top accelerator programs, some of them represented here in this room, of course, and raised seed financing from some of the top investors in the world on this list as well. Again, whether you're a large company looking for scale or a smaller company with an idea and some intellectual property, New York State has proven a really good place to call home. And finally, again, these companies hail from around the state, with over 40% located outside of New York City and 60% within. So now to the winning companies. In the interest of time, we've highlighted the winning companies' logos on the next slides, and folks are now passing around, I think, a handout listing all of the awardees, but I'd like to briefly mention just a few of this year's New York Green Tech 40 winners. BioLite, which designs energy products focused on burning wood as cleanly as modern fuels while generating off-grid electricity. It was featured in Popular Science Best of What's New issue, and its home stove was a recipient of the Core 77 Design Award last year. Gotham Greens, which designs, builds, and operates commercial-scale greenhouse facilities in urban areas for fresh vegetable production, and has quickly become a worldwide producer and pioneer in the field of urban agriculture. It was able to provide fresh produce to select Whole Food stores even during Hurricane Sandy. Rentricity, a renewable energy company which designs and installs a unique energy recovery system called Flow-to-Wire. It was a finalist at the SXSW Eco Startup Showcase and was rated Best in Renewable Energy at the Cleantech Open. As mentioned, and here's some more of the logos. There's a full list of the winners being distributed. You can also visit the website given on the handout to request an Excel file with all the company details. We're excited about the prospects of these companies and look forward to their growing in New York State and continuing to innovate and to solve some of the very difficult and important problems that they are working to address that we need their success on. So I hope you'll take the time to learn about their impressive work and their impressive achievements, and to help them explore the opportunities that are there in front of them. Thank you for your time. Thank you again for coming and supporting this kind of work. And congratulations, most of all, to this year's New York Green Tech 40 class. Thank you.
So we're going to get the judges in a minute. We are distributing the list of the Greentech 40, so if you don't have one, it'll be coming your way. I'm going to grab the judges, and we will figure out who won the judges' prize. In the meantime, they're here. Wonderful. In the meantime, has everybody voted? No? Okay. Well, okay. All right.
All right. So I'm Joe Daniels, and we're pleased to announce the winner of the 2014 New York Energy Week Cleantech Startups Showcase. And before I announce the winner, you should know this was a very difficult decision. The companies are extremely different in many ways, from being zero revenue, great technology, to a company that is projecting $7 million in revenue for this year. We believe that all 9 companies that pitched tonight have very strong business prospects, and we, of course, admire their pursuit of efficiency and reduced emissions as well. So best of luck to you all. With that said, the winner is Bandwagon. So I'm just going to present you with my prize. Thank you so much. You're very welcome.
It's going to go on the screen behind you.
Oh, okay. So first of all, I just want to echo what Joe said and congratulate everyone on really good pitches and tell you that we had sort of a hot debate back there as to who did the best. So, so congratulations to all of you. And the audience award goes to... Radiator Labs. Congratulations. Very good. Well done.
Great. Thank you all so much, and thanks for hanging in there with us. Grab a drink and then go talk to some of the great companies who are here.